Hi guys, what up? It's Shanny with Healing Elements. How's it going, guys? How are you coping? How is your mental and emotional well-being and physical well-being with the coronavirus? So guys, I'm going to make a series of videos, as I'm sure a lot of you are being called or inclined to do as well. Just, as I'm guided to, about, anything to do with the way we're feeling, like emotionally, and that it's okay to feel, even if you are one and centered normally, and, take time and self-care to, contribute to your mental wellness is still okay. And I'll keep on putting out, videos about people who are getting gaslighted for just expressing their emotions and their terror, basically, and their fear and fright regarding this, once in a century global problem, challenge. This right now, this coronavirus pandemic is intense. So it's okay to feel any which way. It just, the point, I was sharing with a friend, the point is always not to brag like we're centered, nothing's bothering us, it doesn't matter, if my spouse or child gets this. That's not the point. It's just to remind ourselves that the title of this video, the point to the call of spiritual arms, is that we've been preparing ourselves to face any adversity. So whether or not we do inevitably have to deal with some really traumatic grief personally that affects ourselves or family, it is about remembering the importance of resetting, of just reminding yourself to always be mindful, to try to get back in alignment, to try to not let even the most traumatic of situations overcome you and do more damage than the trauma already does, to, your chakras and your entire body, your life force, right? So I think that's the point, and this video is all about what we have been collectively preparing for. I'm not one of those people to profess, this is the end of days or this is the reason why, but I feel like every one of us, whether or not we had it in a different, numerical sequence, or if we had it, because we were strictly going by just Christian scripture or some other philosophy, Jehovah's Witness or something like that, I feel like all of us have been called and really were having an incredible knowing that something big was going to change and have us all need to work together in a positive fashion that, is for the benefit of all. Just like, World War II, the Civil War, all of these things, they required everybody in small factions and large factions to pitch in, and then also it required a loss of, unfortunately, of life, of human life, in order though to save the future. Imagine, it's horrendous to compare, but imagine if we were, back in the 40s, we were just doing our own lives. Same thing happened to people just like you and I, except for in a different, a totally different way, but it affected them. It caused death for themselves or the people around them. It caused financial hardships, unimaginable, pain and suffering and traumas. And it required the whole world, pretty much, to, get together for the light and say, you know what, this is crazy. Even if we have to sacrifice, even if we have to be strong and we will never surrender, like Churchill, we will never surrender. We won't stop fighting till our last breath. That's what spirit spirit message to you, to channel to me and you, is that's what we're being faced with right now. A complete and total, which is cyclical throughout our history of being on this earth as beings. We are being called pretty much to work together again, collectively and individually, like doing the whole communal, together functioning cohesively, and also taking self-care when we need to be able to reset and bounce back. And I'll be the first one. I'm going to do a lot of videos on this subject today, and another video, I'll go into it then, is going to be how I personally have never fought so hard since my father's death. But at that time in 2011, I didn't have all the tools, and I didn't have the classes and everything that I've done to prepare for, healing modalities that I do for other people and myself. I didn't have that back in 2011. I had it somewhat, but No. So I feel like this right now, I feel like I'm being challenged the most in my entire life. I know the things, the mindful techniques, the meditation, I know the perspective shifts, shifts of perspective and the way that we're supposed to, positively affirm and not do catastrophic thinking, like, catastrophe thoughts. Like, oh, this is, the worst ever, right? So I know all of those things, but this is the first time in which I'm being faced so tremendously, powerfully strong. I'm being faced with, hey, here you have all the tools, you know what to do to, not constantly remain centered, but you know what to do to center yourself, to align yourself when things like this occur. But the question is, are you going to do it? That's what the thing is. And I was faced, I'll go up another video, I was faced with, and I almost I get in that pity party place sometimes where I'm just so anxious, and the sadness and the worry and the concern and the reality of this, 3 kids, lung disease, asthma, parents, my mom who's over 60, my grandma over 80, there's just serious things that go into this. So, I have been suffering through such a challenge to not go to that place where, never mind, I'm not fit for this spiritual warfare. Why did I choose to be a light worker during such a pivotal time, right? That is a revisit. That's a revisit of that old paradigm, that programming, that, that thought process, it does no good, because we did all collaboratively, in my opinion, decide, kind of like a soul contract, a life path plan. It's like we all have free will here to choose right now if we want to go forward and fight, like Winston says, never surrendering, right? Our beliefs, never surrendering our truth, never surrendering the moral compass within us that tells us to fight for this, and that this is just so amazingly important. It can't be understated, right? You hear all these people talk about it, but it's because we have to remind each other. We have to remind each other of that truth. And we all came to find that truth, that, all of what I'm saying makes sense on our own. I didn't go listening to people like in some sort of group religion experience and come to this conclusion. It's like we all came to the knowing on our own, and then it was great to get validation in the beginning whenever you experience those big, dark nights of the soul or spiritual awakening experiences, or, we still need, and that's my point, I think that we still need, and this is a video hopefully to remind you, we still need to remind each other, especially now, that it's okay. We don't have to fit a mold. We are all different. We're all unique. We all suffer through, I suffer through anxiety disorder, panic disorder, like PTSD and things. So you might suffer through something else. You might not suffer through something else. And right now you're suffering going, oh, I have empathy for other people who've told me about anxiety attacks. Someone super cool actually on here. I would recommend looking at her videos. She's amazing. I've been watching her for a little while now. She's starting to, for at least a year, Dr. Ramani, Ramani. She's wonderful. She talks about, toxic, narcissistic behavior and things that, you can do for mental wellness, depression, anxiety, things like that. She's amazing. And she's been putting out some videos, and even her, it's eye-opening to me to see somebody who is so even kilter, and she was still even kilter when she said this, but she said, even I am having empathy for my clients who I've, worked with for years, who do suffer through panic attacks, because this, it's hitting everybody. But this is so real and something just profound that we've never seen in our lifetimes, at least. So I wanted to remind you guys, as I so often am guided to in divine time, to be reminded by soul family members out there, I love you. You know who you are. If I tell you that you are validating me and I am just feeding off of just higher vibrations, that's legit. Lord knows there's enough people who, unfortunately, when they come around or interact, just, someone said perfectly, shout out to my water sign friends, that it can be extremely exhausting energetically, drain your energy. Yep, no brainer. I found that out, and that's a big part of this. This is going to get increasingly difficult when, especially, you do have people in the political arena, in my opinion, who are naturally built, energy vampires. I'm not, we can go off another video if the people are evil. However, energy vampires, yes. People who want to bully on the internet. People who want to, when you ask a question, you know, what do you have to say to the American people because of the coronavirus? And they say back to you that you're a bad reporter. That right there is ill, negative, deteriorating, just does no one any good behavior. And so it's going to be increasingly strong on a global, national, collective front, this opposition, right? To like shush you up, or, you know, to tell you that, you know, that it's all in your head, and who knows what everybody is saying. You know, everybody wants to discount your experience, and your experience is for just you. And I'm here to tell you, anyone who does resonate with this, which is what I wrote, this is like my journal, check this out, super filled out. When did I begin this one? And this last like 4 pages, ironically, and then I tore some out. I wonder what I tore out. I began this, wow, okay, that's crazy, December 10th, 1994. That's how I do with journals. And remember, I've mentioned before, I fill out like a quarter or half of them, and then I forget, and then I'll go later, like, where's the next date? May 5th, 2012. Then, you know. So, anywho, on the back of this one, it talks about preparation, boot camp, which is something since I started my channel in 2017 I've been talking about. Like, I have this feeling, guys, we're in like some spiritual awakening boot camp. Like, we're being prepared for our mission, you know, our job, and absolutely I'm validated now by all my experiences and you guys. This is, I put mental and physical warfare that we're gonna face. And at the time, I think when I was writing this was like talking about the physical exhaustion that can come out of being, you know, on the path to enlightenment and having opposition or questions about whether or not you are, you know, seeking these answers for, you know, a divine purpose, or whether or not this is just psychological. You know, you go through all kind of things. So I felt like at the time maybe it was going to be physically draining because that, but that makes sense now. We are absolutely in a mental, spiritual, and physical warfare right now, coronavirus. So I feel like right now, I always said 2020 is going to be like the party's over, like you have to go back to work like the Monday morning. You know, I never thought, you know, I did have thoughts of it's going to be something like extremely challenging. I had thoughts of maybe I'll lose someone again close to me, or, you know, maybe we will go to war or something like that. I didn't know what it was coming, and I always want to leave I learned to leave my intuition when it has to do with knowing something, leave my intuition there and just know that I need to come as it's given to me. And I feel like spirit works with me that way, because yeah, I can get shocked, and I am a really, really sensitive person. So I feel like I was definitely, the hunch was right. The intuitively guided messages from spirit telling me that 2020, like, bam, you know, 2 things. I knew I was going to get a professionally paid opportunity, like, to finally present to a group of people, and I've gotten that in 2020 just recently, at the same time as this coronavirus challenge that has really challenged me to be like, whoa, do I want to, you know, stop doing positive affirmations on YouTube and stop doing card readings privately and YouTube, because I need to hunker down and just worry about, you know, excessively cleaning and spending all this time with my family, which I already am. You know, the kids have been having insomnia. They're 17, 21, and 14. They have since this pandemic, and they're not going to school. They stay up all night just talking and being together, which is great. I feel like that's their comfort. I don't bother them about that. But that being said, they sleep during the day. So it's like, when I'm able to do this and have this quarantine, it's like, what else am I going to do beside, you know, my crochet and all the other things that I do? But why would I stop now when I feel like, you guys, this is what we went to spiritual boot camp, spiritual training. We went to spiritual training all on our own individually, and we helped each other along the way. That's what's beautiful. So, you know, I really feel like Cadettes, time is up, batter up. Like, regulators, mount up. It is time to go to D-Day. Basically, it is, you're the first cavalry, the light worker cavalry. It's like, cadets, it's time to graduate. Here is your Medal of Honor. You've done a fantastic fucking job. I've done a fantastic job staying sane, maintaining all of the things that we've individually learned. I've learned so many lessons, and I've spoke on the, many videos, and I'll speak on it ahead of time. For me, my personal truth, my journey was getting to a place and still knowing that I'm a work in progress, and getting to a place where I can just speak my truth and not have any expectations of how that truth is going to be received. And that is so super hard. It was hard for me. And it's still something, of course, just like anxiety. I bounce back and forth and have to reset, and really, the more times you fall down and stand back up, fall down 7 times, stand up 8, the more times you fall down and stand up, right? And listen to your higher self and speak up about your truth, or just don't gravitate toward any other false narratives that you may feel pressure to, those kind of things. The more you do that, the stronger that you become. And I put the most profound battle of my and my soul family's, everyone I know, his entire lifetime. We must all use our tools in 2020 and other components to combat any feelings of using old habits to get in our way, to reaching our potential and working with the divine, our higher power, and aid in physical health while we heal ourselves internally. So it's so super important. You guys, I'm gonna end the video with these 2 quotes. I think they're amazing, and then I'm gonna put some other content about coping mechanisms, and also something about how no matter who you are, this is going to be a piece of history that will be in your memory, like whatever it is for you. Maybe September 11th, maybe you're old enough to remember like John Lennon getting assassinated, something like Bob Marley getting shot. Like, you are going to be like, I was there in quarantine in San Mateo when you know what I mean? This is going to traumatically affect you, whether or not you choose to remove that piece, a moment of time that was adverse or challenging, and pretend it didn't exist. That's called detachment and suppression. That's a form of trauma, right? We have these primary and secondary emotions that are going to come out for everybody. How they manifest and how they're dealt with is another thing. That being said, guys, we are all called to accept our promotion from cadets, from spiritual boot camp to spiritual warfare and fighting, really with our higher self only, for those of us who are ready, fighting for exactly what we are driven to fight about, and knowing that we put ourselves in everyone's shoes, and we fight not for ourselves but for this huge blanket of patchwork, all of our diverse pieces of threaded quilts. It matters to all of us who are doing this for the light, working for the light. I care about the safety, well-being of you and your children, or anybody that you care about, just as if it was mine, because I know that we come from the same roots. We're the tree of life, right? And that reminds me, here's this bracelet. Can you see that? Right there? It's the tree of life that my daughter, Alyssa, gave to me. It's really cool. It has like aromatherapy, little pads you put in there. I put a video up on Instagram. Here's some tea too. So the other video that I put out was a little mini video just about coping mechanisms, distraction, tangible things that you can do to remove your mindset from all this angst. The next one, again, is going to be about the different, stages and things that different people might feel. And it's okay for somebody to feel like this is not a big deal right now. It's not okay for them not to take precautions, because it's apparent that we all need to for everyone else. So that would just be, pretty much murder if you're not going to be that, if you're going to be that insensitive, that's just another story. But if you are in denial and you feel like, oh, you know what, I'm young, I don't have any older people to worry about, I don't have an underlying condition, I'm in a part of the world, whatever it is to you that you are not overly anxious like a lot of us are feeling, or freaked out, That's okay, as long as you're honoring other people in what is factual and what is realistic, what we're recommended to do based on evidence, right? And not based on fear, either way. Fear that you're going to look weak because you're admitting that you're freaked out, or fear of the unknown to the point where it consumes you, because fear, F-E-A-R, right? Factual evidence appearing real. Fear, factual evidence appearing real, right? That's what causes it. Because, you know, no one would be afraid to die if they knew the truth of the matter, that we are actually elevated into, you know, we graduate then too. We graduate. It is like a rebirth. That is something sacred. And, you know, it's a natural, like, you know, like a fear of flight scenario. Like, it's a natural thing to be afraid, because no one likes, you know, really to be blindsided. You know, that's not something that feels good to us. We, as human beings, naturally gravitate to the familiar in some regard, even if we're not habitual creatures by nature, right? So this blindsided us, guys, and these are the two quotes. I want to leave off with one very important one. We're all like the panther, and it says in this quote by Rainer Maria Rilke, "A panther, if confined to a cage, a great will stands stunned and numb." So if we can find our gifts, if we can find our abilities, if we can find our, our inspirational ways that we can get by and help others too at the same time, if we can find that, we stand stunned and numb, and that's not a good thing. So again, a panther, if confined to a cage, a great will stands stunned and numb. So we want this great will of working toward compassionate, loving kindness, acceptance for all, elimination of war and cruelty of people, animals, any kind of thing. We're working for that, and we don't want to stay in our cage. Bust out the cage, you have every right to do so, just like those hater nation members and, you know, people who are just bully mentality, personalities, they feel entitled. Guess what? I'm telling you right now, like, now open the floodgates. You are entitled. You've graduated. You have the Medal of Honor. You're going to D-Day. You deserved it. You went through some big time shit to get there through spiritual boot camp, and you're still going through it. Because again, you're going to be faced with these, you know, same type of energies that you've had to deal with, but now it's like, it's in the face of some serious adverse challenge that is beyond, right? Beyond serious. So guys, the other quote I want to leave you off with says, and so pertains, "The voice of eternity within us demands to be heard, and to make a hearing for itself, it makes use of the loud voice of affliction. And when by the aid of affliction, all irrelevant voices are brought to silence, it can be heard." It reminds me, my daughter had never seen Cold Mountain. So my husband suggested last night we watch it, and she says, Nicole Kidman's character at the end, it's about the Civil War and stuff, it's really good with Jude Law. She says, there will be a reckoning. She's talking to these Confederate pricks who, like, you know, shot and killed people she loves after the war, after it's ending. And she's like, there will be a reckoning. So this right now, I'm telling you, it may sound cheesy, and that's another video, that there's going to be stages where you're going to listen to things like this, and you're going to be like, bullshit, nothing good can come out of this. This is junk. I don't want to participate, right? But then you're going to get enough of these kind of divine signs and messages through videos like this, wherever you get that encouragement, you're going to know, no, it is true. Like, and I'm going to rely so heavily, as I have been, on my soul family members. I love you guys. I appreciate you through the universe and through, you know, exchange of messages to support me and remind me that, too, that the voice of eternity within us demands to be heard, and to make a hearing for itself, it makes use of the loud voice of affliction. We are all afflicted right now, all of us in some way. And when by the aid of affliction, again, proving that there is positives in adverse affliction, challenging situations, etc., right? So when by the end and the aid of affliction, all relevant voices are brought to silence, the voice of eternity can be heard. Beautiful. So soul family members, it is a call to spiritual arms. You have graduated, I have graduated. Like, what is the point if we were, you know, back in the day, Winston's telling us, never surrender, don't give up. Like, this is our livelihood. There's people dying for no reason just because they wanted to take over, you know, the world. And we have to stick up for those innocent people over there that we don't know, that are different stature, age, blah, blah, blah. We have to stick up for the world. Never give up. So guys, never give up. That is the message. And I love you with all my heart, and I thank you guys, and I cannot even tell you how much I feel you. Trust me, it is some really intense, you know, things that we have to absorb and digest. It's crazy. I love you, and I'm doing my best, and I'll keep on putting out the videos because, yeah, I think it's imperative to still stay, you know, in that same mindset. Nothing changes because we began the spiritual war, guys. We graduated, but that means what, like, right? We're faced with the real thing. We have to work even harder. So, blessings, love and light, and go light workers, getting the voice of eternity heard, and to bring all the irrelevant, dark energies, voices to silence, right? Blessings, guys.